Hey everyone, happy Thursday. I feel like it was just Monday yesterday, but it's Thursday. So happy Thursday, happy October, just the beginning of the month. Just very, very quickly, housekeeping items. Remember, all of the challenge packs that were on sale last month are on sale this month. And this is the last month that all of our popular challenge packs will be on sale for $140. So obviously, let's leverage that. Let's take advantage. Let's help a ton of people this month. Congratulations to every single member on this team that helped 1, 2, 3, up to, 11 lives. It was just a ginormous month last month for us. We helped 80 people. We should be so proud of ourselves for helping people get started on a health and fitness journey, because that's what we do, right? We make sure that people are living healthy, fulfilling lives. So make sure that you are definitely taking advantage of all of our challenge packs this month, because then I don't know, I'm guessing it's going to be Core the Force next month, and I don't know, maybe one more other month. But let's take advantage and help many, many people this month. The other thing I want to, congratulate everyone who achieved Success Club last month. You guys rock. Again, keep the momentum going, and let's continue to help more people. And let's congratulate Nilda for hitting Success Starter. That means, for our new coaches, that means that she has been consistent since she started her business with Beachbody. And in 3 months, she's been achieving Success Club, 10 actually, in her business. And then she's been also hitting Success Club in her husband's business center as well. But, which means that she's hit Success Club her first month as a coach, her second month as a coach, and the third month as a coach. And Beachbody rewards that. They reward success. And they're giving her a free ticket to Summit. And that ticket is about $300. So congratulations. I'll see you in New Orleans. It's going to be amazing. Everyone who was at Summit knows how amazing it is, how much fun we had, how much things we learned, how much we celebrated. And so I'm very proud of you. Congratulations. So go ahead and give her some love for that. All right. So now I'm going to, actually, before I forget, guys, the event page is up for the Fit Club. It's not a Fit Club. It's actually a live workout event, and it is actually up already. And thank you to Rudy for, handling this. And also to our instructor on October 15th, Jamie, who is our first Team Advent member to get certified on one of the Beachbody programs. So congrats to you. We're really, really excited, to have you host our event. So make sure that you're making a lot of noise on your social media. Make sure that you're inviting people. Make sure that you are posting in the event page, especially those folks that have been to the first event, the second event. Let's hype it up. Let's invite people. This is a good way for them to experience our energy, to experience our programs, and to experience Shakeology. So make sure that you are, saying that you're going, RSVP, and you're going, and then, make a lot of noise. And even if you're unable to go, I'm not going to be in town, neither is Jorge, but I'm still inviting. I'm still going to share. I started sharing already on social media. So make sure that, we are hyping this up. All right. Now I'm going to introduce our guest, if I am able to get to where I want to get. All right. Don't tell me my Facebook is, okay, no, it's not. All right, so sometimes my Facebook gets stuck, but I'm really, really excited to introduce Denise Martino. Denise is actually one of the coaches that I admire a lot, respect a lot. She knows this. We had a one-on-one convo when we were at Summit. I told her that she is just so genuine, and she has this just great energy about her. She's giving. She loves. She's going to tell you her story, but she is, in the right field, and you'll hear all about why. But Denise is not only a mother of two beautiful kids, she is a wife. She is also a 2015 elite coach. She is a 5-star diamond coach in her first business center and a 1-star diamond coach in her second business center, as well as Success Club 5 All-Star Legend with 46 months in Success Club, guys, which means that she knows what she's talking about tonight. She knows what success is about. She has definitely led her team to amazing things, and I'm just so excited for her to be able to discuss the power of personal development. She was on the Llamada Nacional, which is where she addressed all of Team Beachbody Latino market, and she discussed this topic, and I was blown away, and I told her I needed her on our team call for her to really just, translate, right, the whole call, because it was just amazing, and I need more of you guys to hear her knowledge. So, Denise, the floor is yours. Thank you one more time for being on this call with us.
Thank you so much. It's just crazy when you hear like all those accolades and someone else acknowledging you. I'm still very humble, and sometimes I don't share enough, but thank you so much. I feel very honored, and I adore you. I love you so much, Gabby, and I see that you're doing amazing things with your team. So I as soon as she asked me to be on this call, there was no hesitation. So as Gabby said, my name is Denise Martino. I have been a coach since December of 2010. I am also Sally Almonte's cousin. I'm the one that made her emerald. And I'm going to lead into that, but I'm the one that made her emerald. I immediately signed up. I trusted my cousin, of course. I had almost 60 pounds. I was overweight. My second pregnancy, I had gestational diabetes, and it was a very complicated pregnancy. So at that time, when Salvi and my cousin Caesar introduced me to Beachbody, I immediately jumped on the opportunity because I realized that I was going to need the accountability. I didn't trust myself to finish it. So I immediately fell in love with the idea of the community. I got results right away. Within 6 months or so, I lost over 50 pounds with P90X and Insanity. At that time, I was watching my cousin's success, and I was helping a few people here and there, a few family members. I can honestly say that I don't know how many years, 365 times, whatever years I've been doing this, I have been drinking my Shakeology every single day. I never went a day, continue to do programs. I love Beachbody. However, it took me a little bit of time to really believe in myself. I saw what was going on around me. I observed, at the time I was living in Florida, and I observed my Team Eagle here in New York, just this great success in terms of the business. However, at the time, I was working in social services. I've been in social services I was previously in social services for about 17 years. I have a bachelor's degree. And at that time, I felt like, well, that's not really for me in terms of the business, the Beachbody coaching. It's not really for me. Although I was helping people here and there, I never really, at that time, took a look at it as, okay, this is a business that can possibly, be something that I can do. I never really thought of it that way. I would kind of listen to little pieces of personal development here and there, but nothing where, I wasn't really serious about the business at the time. So it wasn't until November of 2012, I was living in Florida. I always, the more that you share your story and talk to others about your journey, it's almost like you get these little, the pieces of the puzzle just start kind of coming together, right? So I was living in Florida at the time, and I was feeling a sense of emptiness. I was feeling a sense of, I was questioning whether or not I was in the right profession. I was towards the end of my time in Florida, I was working for somebody who really did not value me and really made me feel like I wasn't really doing my job properly. And I had never, ever felt that before. And I prayed a lot at that time. And I started to feel like, okay, am I really supposed to be doing this? Is this really the career that I was meant to be, doing for the rest of my life? So I felt like it was almost like little pieces of the puzzle were kind of coming together at the time. I was living in Florida. I was like really missing home because I'm from here. I'm from New York, right? I was born here. And I started to feel this emptiness. And I just remember having this conversation with my husband where I was like, honey, I says, what do you think about moving back to New York? And he seriously, like about a week later, that's why I say that I feel like this was like God throwing, just throwing the signs at me. A week later, my husband was like, well, I'm going to apply to transfer to Newark. And seriously, it happened so quick. Within 2 weeks, he got his company transferred him back to New Jersey. Well, we're not from New Jersey, but Newark was close enough to New York. So I immediately jumped at the opportunity. And I was like, let's go back. I felt like it was right. I was at this job where I really didn't feel like I was supposed to be there. Like it just wasn't, I was really miserable basically. And I feel like everything just happened at just the right time. So I always tell people that I had 2 sign-up moments. So I signed up to be a coach right away in December 2010, but I didn't really start the business until November of 2012, when we moved back. And the thought of moving back to New York with 2 small children at the time, remember, my kids I was living in Florida, I was living elsewhere. So my kids, I never had the experience of having children here in New York, right? So the thought of that literally turned my stomach. I felt like, wow, I'm going to have to work in the city more than likely, commute, take my kids to school, put them in aftercare. The thought of doing all of that really just made me feel like I got to figure something out. Still not thinking to myself, okay, I got Beachbody right here, right? But I was like, oh my goodness, like I can't be one of those moms that drops off her kids, goes to work, picks them up, an hour of schoolwork, then to get them ready for bed, right? Because I was doing that in Florida. And, Florida lifestyle is very different than New York lifestyle. It's a lot more laid back. So my thoughts were, okay, if I am stressed, working this full time, taking care of my children in Florida, could you imagine me coming back to New York, having to find another job in the social service industry? And I don't know if any of you, have worked in this field, but a lot of times it's not an 8-hour day. You're taking work home, you're doing extra hours. The type of work that I was doing just throughout my career, I had been working with children that were abused, homeless, mentally ill, every population that you can think of within that field. I was working with them at some point throughout my career. So, he gets this promotion. It's a promotion and a transfer, and it was almost like an epiphany. Like something just kind of hit me, and I was like, okay, well, I can work Beachbody full time. And my husband at that time basically told me, okay, I'm going to give you a year to get this going. Because as we all know, for the type of lifestyle that most of us want to live, right? And if you have children, you have to have 2 incomes coming in, right? So although my husband makes a pretty good income, I've always been one to hold my own. I've worked since the age of 15 for somebody, for an employer, right? So I've always been one to bring in my own income, my own money. So I presented him with the idea, and he said, okay, let's do it. My daughter, I want to take it a little step back. My daughter has been diagnosed with ADD. So she's the type of child that she needs a lot of extra attention in terms of doing schoolwork, in terms of just any simple task at home. She needs that extra guidance. So again, all the little pieces were just kind of coming together for me. And I prayed and I felt like, okay, this was meant to happen this way. And you know, all those signs that you pray for when you're going through something, well, guess what? He gave them to me. He provided them to me. My employer was not a nice guy, treating me like crap in Florida. My husband got this transfer very, very quickly. And we just went for it, right? So I took a leap of faith. We moved back to New Jersey, but I say it's New York because it's like 10 minutes from the bridge. And I say it's a leap of faith because we sacrificed, right? We downgraded from a 3,500 square foot home in Florida to coming back here. You know, we put our kids in a 2-bedroom, and they were in bunk beds. So we realized that we had to sacrifice because I made the decision to build the business, right? Pretty much from nothing. I had a few coaches here and there, but I didn't really have a substantial income at the time. So we realized that we had to sacrifice. Like I said, we downgraded to a much smaller home. We made a lot of cuts wherever we could, right? He said, I'm giving you a year to make this work. I took the year very seriously because the more that I stayed home, the more that I was able to experience picking up my kids from school, going on school trips. I wanted that so bad. So I worked really hard. However, I will share that first year was incredibly challenging for me because my mindset still wasn't where it was supposed to be. Meaning, I had a lot of self-defeating thoughts of I didn't feel confident. I wasn't sure of myself. I was freaking terrified. I was afraid to fail. I had so many different just emotions going on throughout that year. And I did jump into the personal development initially. However, I didn't take it very seriously, and I'm going to share why. I have a degree in psychology. I study sociology. Why do I need personal development? I talk to people for a living. I help people with their problems. Why do I need something that's going to help me with any kind of problems, right? This is in retrospect now. I'm sharing this with you guys because at that time, I was just kind of going through the motions, right? I was listening to little pieces here and there, but I wasn't internalizing. I wasn't accepting. I wasn't open to the personal development. So that year, I'm like recruiting and I'm doing my thing, but just, things just were not clicking for me right away. It just wasn't happening. Many, many times did I want to quit. I can't even tell you how many times I wanted to quit for a split second. And then I thought about the idea of getting on a bus, commuting, dropping my kids off, and that enough, because I was so connected to my why at the time, that always kept me going even during times that I wanted to quit. Because my why is in my face every single day. I have pictures of my babies everywhere. My daughter is my why. And I've connected with that, that could be another call on a whole other level because it's very deep and there's a lot of pieces to your why, and you're going to figure that out and discover that as you go along and the more that you share and talk to people. So I was always connected to that, and that kept me going. And although I had people drop, I had people, just so many things happened, within that first year and still to this day. However, I was like, you know what? I'm really going to invest. I'm really going to take the time to do the personal development. You know why? Because everybody else is doing it. I'm just going to do it. Why am I going to reinvent the wheel? All the successful coaches are doing it. Let me just stop being so freaking hard-headed, Denise. Let me just do it, right? It was a learning experience for me initially. So, I started off with the compound effect, with a lot of the audios that you guys have probably heard of. And I'm going to give you a whole list of at least 4 or 5 that really, really, I feel changed my life and changed my just the way that I run my business. So I'm going to give you a list of those books at the end of the call. But at that time, I just decided that, okay, I am going to make sure that whatever I'm listening to at the time, that I am going to really apply it to my life. And again, that started to kind of change over time in terms of how I actually applied the personal development. But what I decided from that point on is that, and I realized, and the book that really did it for me was 6 Figures in 6 Months by Danny Johnson. That was really the turning point audio for me. It was an audio that I listened to, because that particular audio made me understand why I was the way that I was. Why was I getting in my own way? Why was it that my mindset just wasn't right? And it really pushed me to really dig. Like, what is my blockage? Why am I getting in my own way? Why am I blocking myself from deserving and feeling like I deserve success? Because that's what was happening to me. I don't know that at the time, I don't know that I felt worthy of it. I don't feel like I wasn't confident enough in myself to feel like I can do this, right? So the Danny Johnson audio is what really started to kind of shift my thinking. And I started to just be very introspective. Is that the right word? I just really started to really look within myself, and not in a way to beat myself up, but more in a way like, okay, Denise, what can we fix? How can we really, what are the things that you need to look at in order to be the best version of yourself that you want to be and that you were meant to be? And I realized that a lot of it came from baggage, which we all have. My upbringing. I grew up in an incredibly negative household. I grew up with a dad that never commended me for even graduating college. I put myself through college. I'm the oldest in my family. I came from alcoholism. I experienced attempted suicide in my family. These are things that came out as I was listening to this particular audio. Was it easy? No. But I felt mentally ready to deal with it. I felt ready. And I didn't know that at first. It wasn't until I pushed myself and I made a commitment to myself to listen to the audios, to apply it. It was not easy at all, guys. I'm going to tell you that it wasn't, because I had to relive a lot of the stuff and a lot of the junk. It was therapy. It was really a form of therapy that I didn't want to. However, I realized that a lot of that stuff was getting in my way. Now, I do realize that not everybody has all this baggage. Unfortunately, some of us come with more baggage to this than others, right? I had a lot of baggage, a lot of stuff that I had to work through, right? So this might not even apply to everybody, or maybe listening to something else is going to help you. I respect the fact that everybody starts this journey where they're at and with who they are, right? Everybody's different and everybody has different experiences. So those are the things that I started to kind of really understand. And I stopped little by little comparing myself, because that was one thing that I used to do a lot, is compare myself. And it all came from me. That comparison of, well, why is this one doing this? Or why is this one advancing in her business and not me? Like, I started to piece that together. Like, Denise, you got to stop. Like, you have to stop that. My confidence began to just build up. I began to believe in myself. I got out of my own way, and I really in my heart began to believe that I deserve success, that I deserve to be happy. It's almost like, somebody used this analogy, I think, on one of the calls, on one of the trainings. I really felt like I was an onion, right? An onion. So, okay, this is my analogy. When you're born perfect, right? You're born perfect in this imperfect world. Experiences, stuff in your family starts to pile up on top of you, and that's not really the person that you were meant to be. And that's how I felt. Like, when I was younger, I felt like there was greatness inside of me. However, it just, life piles up, right? So the personal development was like, I started peeling off these layers. And I'm like, man, Denise, you can do this, right? Like, you have this in you. Like, why not? Like, you have this drive. You've accomplished this in your life. You've done that. You can do this. And then my why, my babies, my baby girl, my why. So on those days that I had like this, I always say that we have still the negativity. I still have that little negativity monster on my shoulder from time to time, right? But I just felt like sorry, I lost my train of thought. Like, I'm peeling off all these layers and stuff, and my true self started to come out, right? Just to kind of move it a little fast forward in terms of the personal development, because I know that that's really the meat of this call. I decided that I needed to really make a plan, because I started to reevaluate myself in terms of what type of learner I was. I came to realize that I don't like to read, so I'm going to share a few tips and some of the things that I kind of decided to do in terms of really making sure that the personal development was being utilized and that I was really applying what I was learning. I'm going to just share a few things. So one of the things was that I really had to figure out what kind of a learner that I was. And I decided that I had to really stick to audios. Right. I think a lot of it came from my vision. My vision just wasn't good at the time. But just make sure that you figure out what type of learner that you are. Are you more visual? Are you more audio? Once I did that, seriously, like, it just took off, because I just began to invest. And I realized that the best investment that you can possibly make in this business is really in yourself, because you can be thrown into all these trainings. We're taught all these technical stuff. We're taught the back office and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, this business is about creating relationships and making connections with people. So if you yourself are carrying all this stuff and all this negativity and all this maybe self-defeating thoughts about yourself, others are not going to be drawn to that. Right? Other people are going to be drawn to you for the person that you've become, or if you've gone through struggles and you've been able to overcome, right? That's who people are going to be drawn to. They're going to be drawn to your story. But the only way that that's going to evolve, and the only way that you're going to be able to connect with it, is through personal development. There's no other way. I mean, I even went through therapy before the personal development, and it is crazy how I invested all this money. Okay, I'm like spilling on my dirty laundry here. I invested this money in therapy, and I got more out of just listening to audios than what I did in therapy. And I learned more about myself through these years of being a coach than what I did, the 2 years that I was in therapy. It was like crazy. So, as the time passed, I know that you guys realize the importance of it. I do realize, even within my own team, that a lot of us still kind of don't prioritize it, although it's one of the vital behaviors. And I think that comes from you yourself not wanting to deal with a lot of the stuff that you're still carrying, right? I know that for me, that was the case for a really long time, is that I didn't want to deal. But once you do, and once it's out, and once you just take it and just store it away and just put it there and just accept it for it being part of who you are, you can make a decision moving forward that you're not going to allow those things to get in the way of the person that you're meant to be. And that's exactly that was exactly that turning point for me, is that I made a decision. I made a decision that, yes, this is how I grew up. Yeah, I experienced all these things. I mean, a lot of us experience trauma and things, growing up, and maybe some of us haven't. However, I don't have to allow those things that I experienced make me into the person that I'm truly not meant to be, because I started to feel like I had a lot of greatness inside of me to offer people. And although working in social services, I knew that I was adding value to people, but I still felt like during my career, like I was a robot. I don't know if anybody kind of gets what I'm saying with that. I felt very robotic, like I was just going through the motions. And I felt like, okay, when I made the shift, I fulfilled what God had wanted me to fulfill in that career. And now it was time for me to fulfill, helping others in a different way. Let me share with you guys just a few of the books that I feel like were really was kind of a turning point for me throughout my career. The Compound Effect, I'm sure that a lot of you guys have heard about this particular one. Danny Johnson, 6 Figures in 6 Months. Compound Effect is Darren Hardy. Go for No is a really easy read. And I did read this book. Very easy to read, and crazy that one of my first personal development books that I didn't even know was The Secret. I did read this book too. It was a very, very easy read. In terms of leadership, this is another one. John C. Maxwell, 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And then there's another one called 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Those 2 particular books helped me in terms of helping my team and really developing into the type of leader that I knew in my heart I was meant to be. I can go on and on about all of the other books that I've listened to, and I'm sure that Gabby and everybody on your team, you guys are really big on that. But if I can share anything with you guys, is that take it seriously. Let me just share just a few tips as well. So decide if you're an audio or visual person. The second tip is make sure that you dedicate focused time. Because I was also the type of person that I was listening to the audios while I was washing the dishes, while I was doing the laundry, while I was cleaning, I was making lunch. And guess what? I wasn't really retaining. And a lot of those audios, I had to go back to them a second and a third time. But when I went back to those particular audios, I made sure that I was writing down notes. Now, I just stole one of Gabby's ideas. So in one of her videos, she shared how she has one notebook for each book that she reads. I love that. I do take notes, but they're a little bit scattered. But I definitely advise you guys take notes, because you can always refer back to them. And for me personally, I'm the type of person that I have to kind of spit it back at you and have a conversation with you about it in order to retain it. Again, go back to evaluate your learning style, because everybody is different. And that was something that I even would even, going back to my college years, for me to study for an exam, we would do it in groups, and I was actually discussing it and talking about it. And that was one of the ways that I was able to retain the information. The same thing with the personal development. So make sure that you're taking down notes, that you have focused, dedicated time. Treat it like a power hour. Limit those distractions. Decide to apply. Don't just be a note collector. Decide to apply it. That's really, really important, because that was also me in the very beginning, is that I wasn't really applying everything that I was listening to. And, a lot of it is just going to be, you're going to apply whatever applies to you or whatever you take from it. Everybody takes something different from what we're listening to or reading. So, and that's totally fine. Also, make sure that you give yourself a time frame. I have those, I've known those that I'm like, hey, what are you listening to? I'm listening to, I don't know, what's the Grant Cardone, the 10X rule. And then 6 months later, what are you listening to? The 10X rule. Guys, give yourself a time frame. It just depends on the audio. You can probably get through an audio within a week. It just depends on your time. I know that a lot of you guys are probably busy, but give yourselves a time frame and make sure that you go to your upline and say, hey, I just finished this particular book. What's next for me? Because you got to keep in mind that you're going to see on the team that a lot of us are throwing all different types of books. Oh, read this one or read that one. And that was me as well. Like I would be like, okay, I'm going to do that one. And then I wouldn't finish one and I would jump to another one. Don't do that. Just, if anything, write down the list of all of the audios or books that you see the other successful coaches recommending, but make sure that you complete one before you move on to the other, and ask your upline, say, hey, what other book do you recommend? Because they're going to be different audios and different books according to what your needs are and where you're at in terms of the business, right? If you're someone, because there's different types. So if you're someone who maybe needs to kind of work through some things, from confidence or whatever, maybe, you might want to read You Are a Badass, so it just depends. It depends on where you're at. and you have to trust your coach, Gabby. Trust that we're guiding you in the right way, and that, we're able to recommend something that's really going to help you depending on where you're at in the business. I think those are my top tips. Was there something else I kind of wanted to keep this short and sweet? Something else, Gabby, that you wanted me to cover that I covered on the national coach call?
No, this is perfect. I took notes again. This is wonderful. I really love what you said, bless you, Mom, that's my mom. She got allergies. I love what you said. You're born perfect in an imperfect world. That is just so powerful. And it is just so true. So, no, I think that you covered everything, from picking I'm just like you. I hate reading, but there are certain books that I enjoy reading. It has to capture me, but I'm definitely an audio type of listener too. Like that's how I do my PD. So I definitely agree with you. Just knowing what type of learner we are, and then having that focused time, and then taking notes. And then I like what you said, that you have to have a conversation with someone, and that's the teaching part, right? If you're teaching it, then you're retaining it, you're understanding it. And that's basically what we do. Once you do your PD, you go and you teach it to somebody, because if you're not teaching it or you're not talking about it, then you're not retaining it, and then you're not really putting it into action. If you're able to do that, you're definitely, taking it in and like you said, putting it into action. Not being a data collector. Yeah, that's a big one, because I know that some of us struggle with that. We love to move from one book to the next, to the next, to the next, but then we're really not growing because you're not putting anything into action. So I agree with you 100%. Yeah, no, I think that's what you covered on the National Wake Up Call. I love your story. I learn something new every single time that you're on our call. As I said, you're always such an open book, and I just love that you've had so much success in this business. You deserve it. You've worked hard for it, and you're just, a great soul. So thank you. Let me actually open the gallery like this. Does anyone have any questions for Denise?
Hi, Al. A lot of new faces.
How are you?
New team members, I know. Question, Gladys. What recommendations do you have for those of us that are struggling with the fourth vital behavior of recognizing? I'm happy for my team, but it pains me as well. For my teammates, but I don't understand your question, Gladys. I'm happy for my teammates, but it pains me as well. What does that mean?
Maybe she can unmute herself.
Yeah. Okay, Papi. Gladys, can you unmute yourself?
You might
No, that was Gladys, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm not understanding your question. Can you elaborate a little more? And while she elaborates, does anyone else have a question or comment, feedback for Denise?
Maybe if it pains her, are you feeling like you're not in a good place, Gladys? If it pains her?
I'm not understanding the question.
Okay. I mean, I can't get happy for them. I mean, I don't want to put words into her mouth, but
I know.
I'm thinking maybe she feels like she's not in a good place, and her teammates are, I don't know. That she's not happy for them.
I don't know what she means.
Well, okay, so I mean, I can talk briefly about what I make mentioning. I think that, remember that the more that you give in this business, the more that you want for your team, the more that you can be selfless and be more of service to others, the more success that you're going to see in this business, right? So as much as this is an emotional business, sometimes you really have to kind of detach yourself in a sense. So, if maybe you see that your teammates or your downline maybe there's something going on that maybe you're not approving of or whatever it is, you have to somehow be supportive and just at the same time, separate emotions. I don't know if that makes sense, because again, this is an emotional type of business, but I feel like we have to make sure that we draw the line and not get too emotional about things that are happening. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's what she's asking, but so I like the fourth vital behavior. I like to be recognized. I like to recognize, everybody for doing their best. And I think it's awesome that they've made it a fourth vital behavior. People love recognition.
I mean, it was even before it became an official, fourth vital behavior, because I definitely remember that when I first came into the coaching world, and all you see is like shout outs and recognitions and just all this positive vibe, and it makes you feel good inside, and especially when you've been, some of us are stay-at-home moms now or full-time Beachbody coaches, and we stay home. We're blessed to be able to stay home. But those of you that have employers, right, you guys know that you don't get recognized all the time. And so to be in an environment that's approved and that's celebrated and encouraged, I think it's a great thing.
So we must set the pain aside. We must be happy for, supportive as much as we possibly can. I think that leadership books also help a lot in that aspect. Like if you have a downline, if you have, all of us here are running a business. So I think the leadership books are really, to me, they've been really helpful in terms of building those skills in me, because it's hard. It can be challenging if you don't, if you're not tapping into that aspect of it, and if you're not building yourself up in that way, I always see myself as, I always kind of want to be ahead of my team in a sense, because if you think about it, even in any time, like, who do you follow? You follow someone who can set the example, right? Someone who can lead the way. That's who you want to follow. Mm-hmm. So I always take that very seriously, because I want to make sure that I'm setting that example for my team.
So Denise, she responded to me. So she was referring to when you said, I used to compare before you like dove into doing personal development, and you used to compare yourself to, why is this person advancing and I'm not? Why is this person moving up or doing this or having so much success? What's wrong with me? Why is it that I'm not moving as fast? Why is it that I'm not getting there, hitting that milestone? So what kind of PD did you do to kind of overcome that? That was the question.
What kind? What's funny? Who kind of did it for me was listening to Barbie Decker. Mm-hmm. Is everybody familiar with Barbie Decker? Kalev. But back then she was Barbie Decker.
Right.
Because Barbie Decker just kind of has this mindset of not really caring what others think about her, and I think that all came from myself. I really kind of had to do like a self-evaluation, because a lot of that comparing really comes from within you. Mm-hmm. You're the one that feels like maybe you're not good enough, or, so I don't know, there was a particular one. Listening to Barbie, listening to, Danny Johnson was really what did it for me, because I realized that I have a lot to offer. It doesn't matter like who's doing what. I'm happy for them. And actually, I learned from them. Mm-hmm. And that's, in this particular business, that's always going to be the case. You're going to have downline that's recruiting more than you, but you can't get hung up on that, because at the end of the day, they're your downline. They're producing and you're benefiting from it. So I would love for my downline to do better than me. I want that, so that's just the type of business that we're in. And, we just have to accept that and just continue to work on ourselves. Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think that Danny's definitely a good one. Danny is very spiritual, and she really teaches from the Bible. So I think that you hit it on the nose. I think that the 6 figures in 6 months is an amazing training, because Jorge and I did it. So I think I might have it in audio, so I'll share it with Gladys. So yeah, absolutely. If anyone else has a question, one more minute, we're gonna drop off and let Denise get back to her family. ¿Qué quiere, mi amor? All right. Well, thank you, Denise, so much for hopping on. Thank you for sharing your story once again and your tips on personal development and the importance of it. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, girl. Love you.
Bye.
Thank you, team, for hopping on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, girl.